Hey there, my friend. Perry Tinsley here. We're going to dig into this idea of setting a higher standard for yourself. I know that can sometimes seem a bit intimidating, but think of it this way. Instead of just going for something that's within reach, that's within your comfort zone, that's easy, that you already know how to do, why not aim for something that's just a little bit out of reach, a little bit out of your comfort zone? I'm not saying it has to go way overboard, unless you choose to, but something that's going to challenge yourself, something that's going to help you grow. That's what we're going to talk about today. But before we get into all this stuff, I love inviting you right over to my website at talktoperry.com so that we can have a conversation. And it's all about helping you elevate and increase your energy so that you can reclaim your power. And actually, what you're doing is recharging that mental and physical battery of yours. TalkToPerry.com. It's wide open for podcast listeners and viewers like you. So let's dig into this setting a higher standard for yourself, because it doesn't mean that you have to be flawless. A lot of times people are like, well, I've got high standards, but they don't actually take action that aligns with that. And sometimes people mistake that for perfection. I gotta do everything right, and if I don't, I've messed up, and they give up and they quit. Health and fitness, for instance, and that's what we talk about on this show. I look at it as striving for improvement every single day. Now, I get it. Some days may seem a little bit off, but it's always just showing up and doing your best for that day. And if you can improve just a little bit on the day before and just say, you know what, this is my standard. This is what I expect of myself. Whether this is choosing healthier foods, whether this is just being kind to yourself and catching yourself when you're doing the negative self-talk and pivoting, right? Whether it's dedicating yourself to, maybe it's your career or just your workout and looking after your well-being, it's all about progress. And sometimes we can end up diluting that and saying, yeah, progress, when I get time, when I get to it. And when you start to have that thinking and those actions or behaviors behind it, you got to ask yourself, is that my standard? Is that the standard I want to set for myself? Or am I limiting myself? Am I holding myself back? It's so when I started doing this and I made the committed decision, okay, I'm going to start showing up for my workouts every single day. And it wasn't like I'm going to see, in my mind, because it was old thinking, in my mind, it was like, I hope this sticks. I hope this works. But I needed to catch myself when I was doing that hoping and wishing stuff and just saying, no, this is the way it is. This is the standard I'm setting for myself. I noticed I was a teacher for 21 years. And here's some things that I noticed when and I was friends with lots of teachers, and I noticed how they went about themselves and carried themselves throughout their teaching career and just mannerisms and things in meetings, etc. But when they chose to take a position that was more of a leadership position, either within the building itself or for the district, they up-leveled the way they thought, the way they made decisions, the way they showed up. And that was like, wow, I didn't see that in their day-to-day interactions with them. But now I see a whole different version because they stepped into another image of themselves. And so it's kind of like looking at and being like having a personal coach inside your head. Not one that's there to put you down and criticize, but one that's just there to motivate you to make those empowering choices, that voice that encourages you, like something simple, just to pick the apple up instead of the chips, We just have those things. To go out for a walk instead of chilling and watching Netflix for the next 4 hours. It's just those sort of things. And I get it. I'm not saying you've got to deprive yourself. It's just about nudging yourself to move toward the greatness and the standard that you want to set for yourself, right? So why bother with all this at all? I mean, I think it gives a sense of pride, a sense of joy when we're doing our best, you know? So think back. You know, you could probably do this. I've done it as a journaling prompt before where I've written down all the things that I've accomplished in life. You know, I've also written down a list of all the things that I've overcome and all the hard things that I've gotten through. And when I look at those things, I'm like, wow, I can do hard things. And wow, I've accomplished many things. I haven't stopped to take and acknowledge myself for those. And so that's the moment. And when you've got that, you've got proof that you can take things to another level. And there's a sense of pride. That's the feeling that we are wanting to embrace, wanting to embody here. But committing to a higher standard, you know, for some, there may be some mindset roadblocks with it. You know, maybe it's old beliefs, maybe it's old thinking, maybe it's just the environment you're in. But the key is to really, and this you got to dial in here, genuinely believe that you're capable and that you deserve of better. Okay, I mean that it starts with, and that's not an overnight thing. That's a repetition thing. That the changing a belief, replacing one belief with a new belief. You know, it takes some repetition on that. It doesn't always happen in an instant, but it's small, consistent, manageable steps. Even the tiniest actions can lead to significant changes over time. You know, I think of a friend of mine who just did 10-minute workouts and he did them over a year, dropped 40 pounds. I mean, you start to think about it, it's like, really 10 minutes? Now, he did like 10 minutes a couple times a day, but 10 minutes, come on. You know, but that was it. You know, the other thing is, I think it's important to forgive yourself for anything that's happened in the past. Mistakes are part of everyone's journey. And why let that hold you back? You know, bless and release that stuff. And, you know, use it as a stepping stone instead of a tombstone, as John Maxwell will say. You know, it's that chance to try again. Consider it a learning experience and not a reason to quit. There are way too many people who have become really good at quitting. I hope you're not one of them. Even having friends, family that also have higher standards, getting yourself around them, or teammates, or even I run virtual health and fitness groups every single month. Getting around that type of support, people on the same journey, uplifting and up leveling. Wow. I mean, that is such an empowering thing to get in and around. That's why I talked about environment a bit there. It makes the journey more enjoyable, right? So, when you're thinking of this and you're wanting, just looking at your goals and what you're wanting to do, and speaking of goals, that's why I tell people head over to talktoperry.com, because I'll share my power of five strategy with you. Kind of tripped over my tongue there. Because I want to hear what you're working through, what your goals are, what you're struggling with. And I'll tell you within 15 minutes of us talking together which direction is going to be the best for you and where you're going to get the biggest results from, so that you can recharge that mental and physical battery of yours, reach all of your goals, and really reclaim that power of yours. You know, I often ask, how would your life look different if your battery was running at 100% every single day? So tell me what you want in your life, and I'll tell you how to get it. Wow, that's empowering. TalkToPerry.com is where that site is. So thinking of setting higher standards for yourself is a way, it's really kind of a way to honor your potential, right? And it's taking those active steps, not just letting it swim in your head, but taking the active steps towards living those standards every single day, at least doing your best to live those standards every single day. And it's not always simple. And I love it when it is simple, but when it's not, there's usually some lessons to be learned so that things become simple down the line. And that brings a satisfaction and brings just such an empowerment to life. Aiming high, something that's a bit out of your comfort zone, that you're like, who do I need to be to have that, to have those goals, to achieve those goals, and then start being that now, being the best version of yourself, not for other people, but for you, for yourself. You know, it's amazing when you walk that path and you definitely start to radiate that out, people will respond. The universe kind of responds around you, right? So just know, I mean, you can choose to use your power and take control, or you can, you know, stay comfortable, let the excuses come in, procrastinate, let the to-do lists overwhelm you, all the things, and then put things off. You can let those things control you and, really drain your battery or drain your power. It boils down to making that committed decision to yourself, to your goals, and choosing to figure out new ways, looking at possibilities, learning, growing, keep moving forward. You've got this, my friend. I'd love to hear your top takeaway from today's episode. Drop those in the comments. I do respond to those. And as always, remember, it's never too late. We'll see you next week. That's another Power Blast podcast in the books. Thanks so much for tuning in. And remember, when you are ready to recharge your battery, make sure you go to talktoperry.com. That's talktoperry.com. That's Perry. And I want to listen. I want to hear. What's going on? I want to help you in that 15-minute call to recharge your battery and reclaim your power so that you're off and running and creating massive momentum toward your dream. Also, every day, I am delivering more motivation, support, tips, and strategies inside my free community with amazing people like yourself. And we are conquering the mindset and the fitness. I do 52 weeks of free training in there. Plus, I coach and I mentor people, as well as give you access to tons of resources and guides. It's called my Upside Down Fitness community because we work on a lot of mindset stuff, the inside stuff. And we're a fun group of people striving to make healthier habits in this awesome chapter of life. So make sure you get in there. I promise you'll absolutely love it. Just head over to UpsideDownFit.com and you can get into the group. And hey, you would be an awesome friend if you get over to iTunes or wherever you listen to your podcast and leave an honest rating and review for the Power Blast podcast. It helps awesome people like you find this show even faster, and that's who I'm looking for, awesome people like you. That's all I have for this week, my friend, and just to let you know, you absolutely rock. That's all I have for this week. I'll see you on the next Power Blast podcast, and always remember, it's never too late. We'll see you next week.